And we're live.
Yay.
Okay, here we go. Let me get in nice and comfy. Welcome back. Tips from your boyfriend, episode 5.
Yeah.
I'm Chingus.
I'm Bethany.
And today we're going to talk about the tip of the day. We're going to talk about a health issue and going to talk about, not an issue, a health topic, and going to talk about a relationship topic.
Yeah.
So tip of the day, I think we're talking about using less soap. I think that was the tip of the day.
It is. And this one's a little bit of a controversial one. I remember a while back, what was it, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. Like, I forget how it came up. I think they were doing like a live stream or something. It came out that they don't always use soap on their kids, that they'll have them shower, rinse off, but they don't use soap every day unless they're like, you know, rattling or whatever. And people just freaked out. They're like, you're abusing your kids and like all this stuff. And they're like, we're not abusing your kids. We're just not using soap all the time.
And I think that it also extends to like body washes as well. Shampoos also,
Yeah.
any kind of thing where it's like when you're going to take a shower, especially on a day where like you really didn't do much activity, you didn't sweat too much or anything like that, using minimal amounts of like kind of these cleaning materials is probably a good idea for you. Obviously, we're not saying never to use it. You want to be hygienic. You want to wash your hands every day. Because
Especially
you know what I mean?
sensitive
Like,
areas, armpits, groin, feet,
Yes.
like ones that tend to harbor more bacteria.
but like, if you didn't sweat that day or do anything strenuous, you don't need to use body wash all over your body. It's probably not good for you and not healthy for you.
Yeah, it actually upsets your microbiome. I have a client, he's like one of the top derms at one of the Boston hospitals. And I asked him, I was like, if you have a tip for anyone regarding skincare, what's your number one tip? And he said, don't use soap unless it's something that you need to use or unless it's a sensitive area. He said, otherwise it disrupts your microbiome. It takes away like necessary oils that are protective that you need to have that keep your body moisturized and whatnot. And he said, there's just honestly no need for it. We overdo it.
Yeah. So what else is there to say? I guess we can go in more of the nuances, right?
Sure.
Like, what's the recommended amount of time like you're supposed to wash your hair a week? Because you're not supposed to shampoo and condition your hair every single time you go in the shower. But like, what do you do, like once a week or something like that?
I think once a week is generally the recommendation, because I think you want to get away like all the junk that kind of like clogs up your pores on your scalp and everything. But outside of that, like you need to have healthy oils, and your hair will actually get less oily over time the more that you kind of let it go naturally. Because like
Right. So like if you're if you're so used to shampooing your hair every single time, your scalp is already kind of trying to hypercompensate for the lack of oils by making it as oily as possible.
yeah,
And so if you stop using shampoo every single time and cut back to maybe once a week, at first your scalp will be very oily because your scalp is trying to overcompensate. But after a while, it'll get used to this new kind of habit and it'll become less oily.
yeah, you really have to train it. And you can use things like dry shampoo over time. Like I have a non-toxic dry shampoo. I know you don't use it. I use a dry shampoo, and it's like a non-toxic one. I think it's called Odell is the brand, but it's basically kind of like my mom when I was little used to use baby powder on my hair because like I refused to take showers or baths without being convinced. And so she would use baby powder just to like kind of absorb the oils in my hair so it didn't look as greasy. So it's kind of the same idea. I think it's like some kind of talc powder that like absorbs the oils, but that way you can go a few more days without having to wash your hair.
Yeah. So that's the hair. Body wash, definitely. Like if you're if you're like exercising or something like that and you're sweating a lot, or you're around a lot of people, or you smell yourself and you're stinky, or like you ask somebody else if you smell, then like obviously use body wash. Specifically also armpits and any sort of groin area or anything that doesn't really get exposed a lot to the air or anything like that, definitely wash those. But like forearms, like I don't know,
Stomach,
like
legs, like you don't necessarily need to use soap.
Yeah, not every time anyways.
Yeah, I would even go as far as like hand sanitizer overuse too. I feel like people just overdo it when it comes to that. They wash their hands so many times a day. It's like, well, did you really need to wash your hands after all that? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea behind it is that like my belief, my experience is too much soap is damaging to your skin. It'll dry it out. It'll crack it sometimes. I'm not sure it's going to make us more susceptible to kind of like acne or anything like that, but like it's not good for you. It's not good for your skin. As they say, it's like you have a microbiome. You have like all these things, all these bacteria essentially living on your skin. That's good for you. You know what I mean? It's like a symbiotic relationship. You're not going to get sick from it. But then you also do have like bad bacteria living on you, or viruses and all that kinds of stuff, and you definitely want to get rid of those.
Yeah. This is a little bit tangent. I remember one time I tried to switch from like non-aluminum, like antiperspirant. I can talk. It was non-aluminum antiperspirant because aluminum isn't supposed to be great for you, and especially going into a sensitive area with like lymph nodes and whatnot. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go natural deodorant. And so I went to natural deodorant. I think it was like a baking soda based one, and I ended up getting a fungal infection. And I think it was just like the aluminum kills like all the bad bacteria and everything, so it was never something I had to worry about. But like I'm so like terrified of going back to normal deodorant after that experience. I want to try one day again and like
Just
maybe
for, like,
see armpits. Yeah, like I want to try one day like doing something to see if there's a way I can get around it so I can go back to like a regular deodorant. But it was so uncomfortable. I was like, what is this?
Watch, like, there's going to be a study done in the next like 10 years that says like, don't wash your armpits. It's like super bad for you.
I hope not. That'd be so stinky.
Well, I mean, there's probably going to be other ways of controlling your natural scent, I guess. Your sweaty scent, I guess, is what you're controlling, right?
Sure.
So it's like, I don't really know exactly why your armpit smells more than anything else. First of all, obviously, the skin is obviously like compressing against itself. So like whatever happens there, you can't evaporate or air out or anything like that, right? So, it doesn't get enough like air circulation there. But then also, it's like you have your lymph is there.
Yeah.
Like something else also is there. So you probably don't want to like.
Your sweat glands.
Sweat glands are there.
But yeah, one day I'll try again, but carefully.
So I don't know. Are you supposed to like? So I soap there, but like maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just rinse with water and then like.
I don't think soap's the issue. I think it's more of like aluminum and things like that get absorbed, like because it's such a sensitive area. So it's like metals, and I think that's kind of the idea behind it.
Got it.
Because I work at a clinic where I have my hands on people, and like I'm very up close and personal with people. And if they don't wash, I'm like, whoo! Every once in a while, I'll get like a middle schooler, or like a high schooler, or someone who comes in who's like, I just ran 5 miles before getting here, and their socks. I'm like, oh Lord.
Yeah.
But.
All right.
Yeah. So it's important, just certain areas, not all the time. Yeah.
What was the other thing I was going to say? I was going to say, I know that the first number one criticism is going to be like, oh, you guys smell. No.
I've yet to have that complaint.
If someone tells you smell, obviously wash more. We're not talking about being like that sweaty, body odored guy that everyone can smell from a mile away. Do not be that person. But like if you can get away with like not using soaps all over your body for a couple of days, then don't. You know what I mean? Obviously shower every day, rinse off with water. A lot of like the kind of dirt and like oils that build up, you can just kind of rinse off with water, and that's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
But like you're not going to smell all of a sudden right away.
Yeah.
I think most people are just a little bit more paranoid that they're going to smell.
The other thing too, I think a lot of body odor stems from just like having an unhealthy body. For example, I had a client who had just really, really, really bad body odor, and he knew that he was allergic to dairy, and yet he continue to eat dairy and eat a lot of dairy. And I bet you if he stopped eating dairy, his BO would just have totally gone away. I think so much of it has to do with just an unhealthy gut. If you have, fungal infections or whatever, but a lot of that stems from diet and what you're eating and what you're putting in your body. And so I think a lot of that, your body's trying to detox and try to sweat it out. And so I think a lot of that is what creates like funky body odor. So
like what you eat's a lot of like the reason why you smell?
I think so. I think it plays into it significantly.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely watch what you eat, but it's a little bit different than like what we were talking about and using soap today.
Sure. Yeah, but it plays into it because body odor is something that you have to consider, and you're going less on the soap.
Yeah, but how do you figure out like what's causing you to smell and what you're eating? Obviously, if you're allergic to something and you continue eating that thing, don't keep doing that. That is dumb. But like,
Well, I think coming down to a healthy diet, right? Like if you're eating a ton of sugars, you're going to have more body odor than someone who doesn't. Or if you're drinking a lot, your liver is going to have a lot more to detox, and your body's going to try to push out more junk than someone, for example, who doesn't. So I think that all, like you can smell somebody who's like been drinking all night. Like you can literally smell it on their body. So
you can smell it on their breath.
Yeah, but you can smell it on their body too. So I think that kind of plays into things.
Yeah, I mean, definitely fix your diet. That's like another conversation for another day, I think. I mean, okay, the last point that I was going to make about using soap all day, every day is that, like, a lot of times people have a natural smell to them. And obviously, when you get all sweaty and you get, like, all dirty, it's not going to be a pleasant smell. It's going to be very bad. But, like, if you're just relatively clean, but you're not using soap every day, you will develop your own natural kind of smell, and then it's not going to be a bad one. Everyone has their own natural smell, as long as it's not like pungent. And then, like, I don't know, but like use other people's discretion in that sort of sense. The reason why I bring up like your own sense of smell is that, like, apparently, and there's not a lot of studies done for this, human beings do rely on smell in the form of pheromones from another person.
Yeah.
So, like, there's been studies done, not too many, but there's been studies done that discuss how, generally speaking, you'll find somebody you're attracted to that you'll like their smell, versus you'll find somebody that you're not attracted to, you won't like their smell. And it's like a correlation, so we're not sure which way it goes. It's like, if you are attracted to somebody, do they smell better by default, or is it because they smell better that you are attracted to them? So we're not sure which way it goes yet.
No, I think the research actually showed, because it's the smell that's not even something that you're conscious of. It's the like subconscious. So for example, women who are on birth control are attracted to different men, like subconsciously, than they are when they're not on birth control, because it alters their perception of the scent.
So it's all scent based.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you change your perception of that scent, and the other study that I read that was really interesting too is they were blind testing spouses. So they would like soak a bunch of shirts in sweat, which is really kind of gross. But they would get like 50, like it was a large number of shirts, and they would soak them in sweat, and they would give them to the spouse and say, hey, smell this, and smell which one is your significant other's.
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, they were actually able to smell, and they weren't even able to like say like, oh, this is definitely it, or like this is like, it was almost like a gut, like it was an instinctual thing, really,
Yep.
that they were able to recognize it, which I thought was like really weird and interesting. But yeah, scent plays a bigger role in things than you'd expect.
And if you're using a lot of soap, you're removing your scent entirely.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that special somebody, maybe don't use as much soap, because you're really like kind of hurting your chances there because of maybe the way you smell.
That's a weird like way to look at it. It's interesting. I never thought of that.
I mean, you're talking about like birth control and all that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're a girl and you've been on birth control since like, I don't know, 16 years old or something like that, and like you've done it for your entire life, and you've been dating for your entire life, like, how do you even know what you're attracted to at that point?
You don't. And that's the thing, is that a lot of women who come off of birth control will express like, oh, I'm not attracted to my partner anymore, like things like that. I know that that's a little bit extreme, and like probably not everyone's case, but it does really alter like the types of people that you're attracted to once you're not on it. But
there's a study done with this?
There have been several studies done with it, yeah.
Where it's like women just lose attraction for their partners once they're off birth control?
Well, not necessarily that, but they talk about their preferences, how their preferences change like significantly when they're on birth control versus when they're not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
It's a little bit of a minefield.
Kind of.
Because, like, if you're a girl and you're on birth control and you like certain guys and you're dating them, like, it gives you this weird, like, uneasy feeling that, like, what if you get off birth control and you don't like that person anymore?
Yeah.
And then as a guy, it's the same exact thing. If you know this information and you're dating somebody and the girl you're dating is on birth control, it's like, how can you tell if she's still going to be attracted to you once she's off birth control?
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem, right? Like, and that's a whole conversation for another day. Is like just like the side effects of being on birth control and like the things
Right.
that aren't so great about being on it. But yeah, it's wild though to think about that particular aspect of it and attraction and how there's just so much that goes into attraction that you're not even like mentally aware of.
All right. Anyways, back to soap.
It's okay to ramble. That's the whole point of having like a live cast is we can just kind of amble around and yeah, we can go
No,
off
I
topic.
I know, but like that one's, I need to read up more on that one. I
Sure.
think because I'm not knowledgeable enough in that one to be able to talk about that. I think to some extent.
Sure.
I need somebody to like fact check me on that before I say anything stupid.
Right.
But like, how many times do you wash your hands a day? Do you think?
My hands? I mean, I do anytime I use the restroom. That one's a given. When I'm working with clients, I'll wash my hands after working on them.
So you're soaping your hands multiple times a day.
Yeah.
I would say so the same for me.
Yeah.
Where it's like my hands are always constantly being washed and cleaned. And like I think that's normal because you're literally touching everything with your hands.
Yeah.
You're touching your face with your hands, you're touching your body with your hands, you're touching other people with your hands.
Yeah.
And so you really want to be keeping your hands clean.
My face I only wash once a day though. I'll wash that at night. In the morning I have like a ice it's like an ice gua sha mold. So gua sha is an ancient Chinese I know I'm bougie.
Iced gua sha mold. What?
So
Sorry.
gua sha is like
Go ahead.
an ancient Chinese tool where it's kind of like a scraping. It looks kind of like a butter knife in a way, and it's lymphatic drainage essentially. So there's one that it's this little silicone like mold that goes in the freezer, and I fill it up with water. And in the morning, so I use this ice, and it just kind of lymphatic drainage depuffs, ices, like tightens pores, the whole thing. But I do that instead of washing my face, or I'll just splash cold water on my face in the mornings just to get the excess oils off. But I don't use soap in the morning.
So my face, I almost never use soap. Every morning I use cold water to wake myself up and wash off any sort of oils and stuff like that, extra oils. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just take water and I kind of rub my face with water. And so it's like, it's not so much that the water is taking off the oils, it's really my hands that are kind of like taking off the oils with a little bit of water there. And then cold water to wake me up as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hands washed with soap every single day. Face, I don't use soap on. When I shower, I use shampoo once a week.
That's a lie.
If that.
That's a straight up lie. When's the last time you washed hair?
2 weeks ago, probably.
See? Exactly.
It's been a while.
I'll conditioner wash my hair sometimes. Like if it's gross and I still don't want to like wash it too soon. So say I did some crazy workout and my hair's like drenched after 2 days after shampooing it. Sometimes I'll conditioner wash it instead, where I'll only use conditioner on it just to kind of get that out, but without stripping it.
Yeah.
And that refreshes it sometimes.
Yeah.
But once a week shampoo, you got jokes. Yeah, I'd say maybe 2 to 3 weeks.
For
your
me, it's one of
shampoo.
those things where I probably should wash my hair a little more often than I do.
Yeah, I'd agree
But
with
I'm
that.
just a little bit on the lazy side with my hair.
Yeah, you can
And
pull
so,
it
like-
off too, because like your hair is darker, and so you can like you don't look as greasy as you'd expect.
Well, I also control the grease a little bit by literally rinsing my hair with water every day.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's like I go in there, I rinse it with water, and then I dry it off with my towel. And a lot of the oils just end up coming off because of that.
Yeah,
When I towel dry it, when I rinse it with my when I rinse it with water, I run my hair fingers through it, and then when I towel dry it off, like a lot of greases come out of it.
yeah. One thing we should be better at is changing our pillowcase. I feel like that stores a lot of oils that we could be better about changing. Because right now we change it once a week. I feel like twice a week would honestly be ideal, just considering the fact that we're not washing our face and hair as much. But we can work.
I
on
mean,
that
I don't
one.
break out, so I don't know.
Come at me.
I don't. That doesn't matter too much to me, I think. I'm not saying anything about you. I'm just saying something about me. Yep.
I feel
Um,
attacked.
but then, yeah, so like my habits, I feel like I've gotten into a relatively good groove. And I don't think you've complained that I smelled.
No.
Um,
I let you know. Like if you get
Yeah.
a little iffy, then I'm like, hey, time to shower.
Right. And sometimes the times I get iffy is because like it might have been like 24 hours since the last time I put on deodorant. And so it's like it's been a little bit, or like I don't know, we just went to the gym or something. I need a shower.
Yeah.
And I've been delaying a shower for a little bit.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's true. What's our next topic?
Well, more of the story, it's like, listen, really quick. I know that there's going to be the people come in there and say, like, we're disgusting, we smell, and no one's going to tell us we smell because people are being polite. It's like, no, we're quite acutely aware if we smell or not. And we're just trying to keep up good habits that are healthy for our skin and for our bodies, in which we aren't going to be offending everybody outside when we go out there. That's pretty much it. And that we recommend other people do that also because it's been working for us.
I like to smell yummy too. I'll put some like oils on that smell good and you'll be like, oh, you smell good. So
I don't do
things like
that.
You're a dude though.
I guess. All right. What else are we going to talk about? I think the next topic we're going to talk about on the Chiron, it says, in sickness and in health.
Chiron? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, so like when you watch CNN
Yeah.
and you see like that bar along the bottom, it's called the Chiron.
Oh, I didn't know that. Chiron is like a planet where it's like the wounded warrior in astrology where it shows you like where your wounds are in life. You're welcome.
Thanks. Is that astrology?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, I always thought that it was called the lower third. That's interesting.
What's the lower third? Lower third is like lower third of the screen?
Yeah. You learn something new every day. Chiron.
It's a Chiron. So like if you Google Chiron or CNN or something, you'll see like the little bar. The Chiron will generally tell you like the topic of what they're talking about. And then like there'll also be like another moving Chiron somewhere else that like tells you like some like unrelated things that's like also happening in the news.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, our Chiron says in sickness and in health.
Hey.
So what does that mean?
So I think the reason we wanted to talk about this is I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's last year. And that was a big transition for us because I was getting used to this whole new health routine and being on medication and figuring out what the heck was going on with my body. Because there was a while there that we didn't quite know what it was and what was going on. It was new to us. So that was a big thing for me to kind of express what I was going through and how my body was feeling and helping him kind of understand what I was dealing with. And then for him, he was trying to figure out how he could support me and going through that transition and like how he could partner with me with what I was going through. Mm-hmm. So what was that like for you?
I mean, you pretty much took control of your health from day one. And so I don't think you at any point despaired or anything like that. I think you were just trying to figure out every single step of the way, every single day. What you're going to do next. You wanted to talk to all the doctors about everything, and you wanted to figure out how to get healthy and how to fix your thyroid issues. And so on my side of things, I feel like that's the best case scenario to have a partner who is just going to take control of everything and do everything they need to do in order to get healthy. So for me, the experience wasn't difficult. I was worried because we're trying to figure out what was going on. But you were you were in charge, and so I was kind of just trying to play the support role. And because of the way you handle it, I wasn't really too concerned about it because I felt like you were going to get down to and fix everything.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I just felt like you were so supportive and like asking questions to learn more about what I was going through, and then just trying to figure out what I could do to help. And I think, too, you were good about kind of calming down when I would be like, I hate the medical system, and just like raging against the world and how annoyed at the doctors I was and different things going on. So I feel like you were good at kind of grounding me through that when I was getting a little bit like frenetic about it.
Like the medical system is probably something else that we can talk about like in another day.
Yeah.
And just like really get into it.
Yeah.
But no, I think that I was trying to be as supportive as possible. I wanted to understand what was going on, like why you were going to certain places or weren't going to certain places, or what like things you were looking into. Like I was trying to stay there so that it's not like I wanted you to give me like an update to your life at the end of the week or something like that. I did want to understand day to day what was going on. like when your next appointment was, like who are you talking to, why were you talking to them, things like that.
Yeah.
But it was easy for me in that sense because you took control. Like it's not like I had to like push you to go to the doctor, try to figure stuff out or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I do think one thing that was kind of hard in the beginning though was for you to understand what I was going through physically. Because like, for example, I would come home from work and I would just go sleep for hours and hours. And I just wanted to take naps like all day, every day. And you were actually concerned that I was depressed. And I remember you asking me a couple times, hey, are you depressed? Are you okay? Because you're sleeping all the time. And I think that has to do with things that you've dealt with in your past that you've recognized in people when they were depressed that they would sleep a lot, which is true. However, for me, I was just like, no, physically, like I can't get this energy. Or same thing too with like working out. I would kind of express frustration not being able to lose weight. And you would be like, hey, well, let's work out more. Let's get to the gym. And that was your way of supporting me. But it was deeper than that. And so for me, I had to find ways of kind of expressing that to you of like, this isn't something surface level.
That's true. And so, I mean, it's a learning process for me too.
Yeah.
It's not like I knew what was going on.
Right. Neither
If,
did I.
if it was up to me, I think that you probably would have figured, if it was, excuse me, if we operated on my timeline, it would have been much longer, taken us much longer to figure out what was going on, I think.
It's true.
And so the good thing is we did go on your timeline in which it's like we need to figure it out now.
Yeah.
We need to talk to everybody, rule out all the options, and get to where we want to get to.
Yeah. We've been through some health stuff together.
Some health stuff, yeah.
I remember when we first moved in together, you had a bug bite that you started putting some Neosporin on.
Oh, yeah.
You want to tell that story?
I don't know. I got a bug bite on my leg, and usually a bug bite gets inflamed and goes away, yada, yada. But like I got a bug bite and it stayed itchy, and then it didn't go away, and then it started getting bigger, and like I started getting like a scab on my left shin, and then.
And by scab, he means like
it got
gaping
bigger
wounds
and
that
bigger.
will not heal. Like oozing.
It was
oozing.
Oozing is not the right word. First of all, it was skin level, right? It was just skin deep.
It was oozing.
So there was not.
Go ahead.
Like imagine you get like a poison ivy or something like that, a bad case of poison ivy. The skin starts dying, and then like it's I don't know if it's pus is the right word for it, but like it oozes, and then like it's supposed to dry and scab over, and then it'll heal, right? But like for some reason mine never did, and I feel like there was multiple things that happened that should not have happened. Number one, I applied Neosporin to it, and that's because I thought I had some sort of bacterial infection or something like that. And it started getting worse and worse. And I thought that it was a bad bacterial infection, so I kept applying more and more Neosporin to it. But then only realized after going to the doctor after a while that I'm allergic to Neosporin, so specifically bacitracin in the Neosporin, which is like one of the antibiotics in the triple antibiotic. So that made it so much worse.
Along the way, so he's like putting Neosporin on it. He went into urgent care like 2 different times, maybe even 3.
Yeah.
And they put him on like an oral antibiotic, and they give him like a steroid and the steroid cream and all this stuff. Meanwhile, he keeps going back to the Neosporin. One day, he's just like head to toe in hives.
Yeah.
Like every part of his body is just itchy. Like I couldn't even touch him without him just being so itchy. So I finally convinced him to go to the ER because we had tried everything else, and he was just absolutely miserable.
Yep.
They look at his hands and they see this rash on his hands. They're like, well, the only thing that we know that causes a rash on your hands is syphilis. And so they're kind of like looking at me and then looking at him and then looking at me. And they're like, so we're going to test you for syphilis. And we're both like, okay. So of course it comes back negative. But I mean, the good thing that came out of that is you were able to get to the derm faster and discover that you were allergic to Neosporin. But what a ride.
So we went to the ER was a trip because we sat there. I sat on the bed for like how many hours waiting for like a consult with the doctor.
It was at least 3 hours.
Yeah, and so like they did a test, and then they referred me to the derm, and then like it was ridiculous because they got like this like STD test specifically for syphilis, and it was just like I can have syphilis. But then like I went to the derm, and the derm literally saw me for 5 minutes, told me exactly what it was, prescribed me a topical steroid, told me to get off bacitracin, don't put any sort of like anything on top of it, and just put the topical steroid in the circumference around the bad area and on like the hives that I'm getting. And then like within a week, I was like twice as better. You know what I mean? Like within a week or two, like all the hives around my body were gone.
Yeah.
And then like my leg little reaction was going away too. And, like it's healed now. And so like, I don't know, like it's difficult because I dealt with it for so long and I made it worse unknowingly. But then I couldn't figure out on my own what was going on. And then the person that was able to figure it out for me did it within 5 minutes. But getting to see him took forever.
Yeah. That was the tricky part for sure.
I don't know. And then you had to deal with me being itchy all constantly.
Yeah, that was tough. Just because like head to toe, and I'm like, we're putting cream all over his body to try to stop the itching, and that was really tough. It's funny, you're really good about like being sick. Like I know that there's such a trope about men when they get sick that it's like, oh, they're babies and like they don't do well with being sick. You do really well with being sick. Like you really just hold your own and you just kind of trudge through it. But the problem when you get sick is you get competitive, where he's good when he gets sick, but when I get sick and I deal with the same symptoms he does, he'll be like, well, I had to and I manned up. So for example, if I ever get itchy, he's all like, itchy is every part of my day of my life now. So I don't know which is worse, having someone who's like not good about being sick or having someone who's competitive about being sick.
There were a couple months of me just being consistently itchy every single minute of every hour of every day for a couple months.
Yeah.
And then you had the gall to like complain about you being itchy for a minute. And so I'm just saying, like, this is my life. And no, I'm not trying to be competitive. It's like, so what happens is like, say I catch a cold and you catch the cold from me, or vice versa. You get it and then I get it from you. Like for some reason with the common cold, I get over it within like a day or two and I feel much better. But then for you,
takes
days. You much longer.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, me and my superior genetics kicked this cold so quickly.
That's not what I say. No, that is not what I say.
It's true. I exaggerate.
I don't brag about it. I don't marvel. I just find it fascinating that people have different immune systems. And so some people's symptoms are lower than others, and some people get over things quicker than other people.
Yeah.
That's all.
What else have we been through? I got LASIK done, and you took care of me when I had LASIK.
You were blind for a day. Yeah, I remember that.
I had these like plastic bug eye shields that he had to tape onto my face every night so I wouldn't accidentally like scratch my eye in the middle of the night. And so I'd be there as he's like taping them onto my face.
It was like a nightly ritual, before I went to bed.
Those things would not stick.
No. The tape was awful. It's supposed to be like body tape or something like that. But like,
I don't know who designed it.
I put it on, like you put it over your eyes and then you have to tape them to your face, so you have to tape around it. And the tape just wouldn't stick. But I mean, like tape doesn't stick to skin anyways because of the oils and all that too.
Yeah. So I got like no sleep during those nights because I was so afraid of like those coming off my face. And I was like, ah.
Yeah, it's hard. No, the most interesting thing for me about LASIK was that when you were done with LASIK, you couldn't open your eyes for like a day.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to lead you around.
Yeah.
First of all, I had to come pick you up. And so I had to walk in, pick you up from the caretaker there, like walk you outside, like walk you through the parking lot and like get you in the car.
Yeah.
Get you inside the house and like figure all that stuff out, which is an interesting experience actually.
Yeah, you did a good job of taking care of me, babe.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't find it annoying or anything like that. Like long term, maybe if someone's dependent on you, that might become a little bit of a burden. But short term, for like a day or two, I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, you did good.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's like this person relies on me, and if I don't do anything, they can't get around.
It's true.
They can't eat.
I would have been very helpless.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made all my meals for me and everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. What else?
It was interesting. Um,
You're really good about when I'm on my period. Because I
I
tend to get
guess.
very, very bad periods where I'm just throwing up and it's just not like you've literally walked in on me and I'm like laying on the bathroom floor throwing up. And I love that when that happens, you're just like, okay, well, what can I do? Like, do you need water? Can I get the heating pad? You grab me a pillow so I could like lay in the bathroom floor and take a nap one time. I always really appreciate that about you, that you take care of me during that instead of being like,
Well, I don't know what to do.
yeah,
I know that generally when people are sick, they just have to kind of get through it, right?
yeah,
So it's like if you have to go from point A to point B, but the process of it kind of sucks. Well, it's like it's gonna suck anyways, and so you have to do it. So how do you make it a little easier?
yeah,
If you're super nauseous and in the bathroom and like you just can't get away from it because if you feel like at any time you have to just throw up into the bathroom. It's like you might as well make that experience a little bit easier, you know? It's like get you some water. So if you ever
yeah,
need water, just drink it. Like get you the heating pad, so that might help you feel a little bit better, maybe a little less nauseous. Literally get you a pillow in case you want to put your head down, or if like you don't want your knees to be in pain because you've just been like kneeling on like a tiled floor the entire time. And so like I just think about like what would make this a little bit easier because it can't solve it,
right.
and you have to go through it. And so it's like what makes it a little more convenient.
Yeah, I really appreciate that about you.
And then I think to myself, like, what would she want to eat? And I thought to myself, she probably won't want to eat.
Yeah, it's true. Good call.
And so I'm
Yeah.
just wondering to myself.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That happens. Usually you don't get nauseous. Usually you just get cramps.
Yeah.
At which point, it's just like, I don't know what to do besides leave you alone. Give you a heating pad, give you some food and snacks and chocolate, give you some water, give you a heating pad. And
Yep.
then, like, there you go.
Yep. Yeah. You'll like come and check in every like couple
Yeah,
hours. Like,
exactly.
you alive?
That's pretty much it, though.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember when we first moved in together and we both got like the worst like stomach flu
Yeah.
at the same time. That was rough because we both were sick. And so we couldn't really take care of each other. We were just kind of stuck suffering through it together.
Yeah, we're both lying in bed nauseous, like just stomach pain the entire time.
Thank God we had two bathrooms at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't pleasant, but like that's what it is. I took off work, you took off work,
Yeah.
and we just laid in bed all day.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure the next day was pretty bearable. So that wasn't too bad. I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like other times in sickness and in health. Like that comes from wedding vows, um, marriage vows.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we've gone through a few sick times. Nothing too bad, I think.
Right.
Nothing where one of us is bedridden for like multiple days or anything, or weeks, which we'll get there. We'll see. And then in health, I feel like health is easy though. You're both healthy, just enjoy life. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the sickness part, it's like we find the ways that, like you said, to your point, that we make it easier for each other to kind of get through it. And then as far as the health part of it, we both kind of challenge each other to be fit and sexy as our little personal mantra. So if one of us is lazy and not feeling the gym, the other one will try to be like, hey, no, like let's rally. Or when it comes to if one of us wants to eat out or something, instead of making food from home, kind of balancing each other out and trying to push towards healthy, I think. I think we're good about that. We kind of balance each other out in that way.
Yeah, I think so. Try to be healthy. But I feel like the health part's the easy part.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's like there's no real trials and tribulations or any sort of difficult periods that we need to deal with.
Yeah. I will say though, it can be challenging. I hear from clients who they want to make changes to their health for the positive and they have a partner who doesn't. And it's like, what do you do in situations like that where you want to make positive changes and your partner is nowhere near that transition point?
I don't know. I feel like you kind of have to do it alone. You're not going to be able to. This is my belief is that people really don't change unless they want to change. And so if a person doesn't want to change and doesn't want to do anything, then like you won't be able to change them because they don't want to change themselves. Changing yourself is hard. Like, how are you supposed to, how are you expected to change somebody else?
Yeah.
And so if you want to make a positive change in your life, I think you should go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Make the steps to do it yourself. It's going to be difficult. You're not going to be supported in it, especially if your partner doesn't want to support you in it or doesn't want to change themselves. But I think it's important to still try to do it as much as possible.
100%.
And then your partner might see it and might see like the benefits and the good parts of it. And so he or she might want to do it also now.
Yeah.
They might see like positive results and they might want to get onto the bandwagon.
Yeah. I think that modeling is everything. Like that's how children learn, is by modeling. They watch their parents and that's how they, and I think when it comes to your partner, I don't necessarily think that it's like a subconscious modeling thing like it is with kids, but I think it's more they're inspired to it. If they see positive changes in your life, they're going to crave that for themselves, most likely. A lot of people will, right? Like if you're starting to like look and feel better and you're starting to radiate because you have more energy, they're going to want that for themselves. And so I think modeling it for one, and then also just giving the invitation every once in a while. So nothing pushy of like, hey, like you need to do this. Why aren't you doing it? You know, I'm doing this on my own. This sucks. I think just every once in a while, like, hey, you want to join in on this? Or like, hey, I'm going to eat for this for dinner. Do you want to have some? Or
Yeah, don't nag.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody to go to the gym once and they say no, asking them 20 more times is not going to change their mind.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't keep saying, let's go to the gym over and over and over and over. In fact, what you're doing is you're just essentially just creating a negative feedback loop.
Yeah.
And so ask them to go to the gym, inform them that, like gym is an example, inform them that it is an open invitation, and then just go yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just like creating little opportunities where you can include someone, or like even just kind of sharing what the changes, like how they're impacting you. I think that's always good too. It's just like even just for basic relationship like communication, hey, what's going on with you, and then kind of just sharing what that experience is like for you without having that pressure, like you said, of forcing someone to change. And then I think the cheesy one that kind of worked for us too was creating a mantra, fit and sexy, because that kind of just became our little like guiding light when it came to making decisions together in a way. But I mean, that won't work for everyone, but for us, it was something that it kind of helped. You got to admit, it kind of helped.
The idea of becoming sexy does help. And that's like kind of like an external motivation. I don't know if the mantra itself is what motivated us, besides both of us wanting to do this thing and both of us wanting to hold each other accountable as well as holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
And this is something we discussed.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of, I don't know how to describe it. Fit and sexy becomes like an emblem of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to do something for the better and I didn't want to do it, first of all, I would be supportive, but that'd be hard. I don't know. And then if I wanted to do something you didn't want to do it, I think I would just still try to do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't push you into it, I don't think.
No, you've never done anything like that where you try to force me into things.
Except drink my almond milk.
Yeah. So he started making his own almond milk, and so he was just like, hey, you should drink this instead of your stupid almond milk, which I agree. The reason I had stepped away from almond milk was for another reason, because it was causing me to break out, I think. But yours, since it has no preservatives, I can talk.
Yep.
It's been quite yummy.
It has been.
It tastes so good. Honestly, it's like so creamy, and it tastes better than any like store-bought. It's so good.
Yeah, but like, so I make it, and we have enough almond milk for 4 lattes. And so one for me and one for you, that's already 2 in the morning. And so if we have 2 decaf lattes at night, that means I have to make almond milk every day.
I'm okay with this.
You're okay with it.
Speaking of, do we have enough for tonight?
We do, but I don't want it tonight.
I'll make it.
No, you won't. Do you even know how to make lattes?
I do. You showed me once.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah.
I should show you how to make almond milk.
You should, honestly.
Because then you can get up in the morning and use the blender, the food processor or whatever.
I feel like it's the cheesecloth part that I would struggle with, where it's like the squeezing the juice out. I feel like that's the one that I wouldn't be able to get as much out as you do.
Your hand does get used to it after a while, though.
Yeah.
It's also just patience thing. If you can't squeeze it hard, just do it longer. Because like the harder you squeeze, the faster it comes out. But like if you're not squeezing it hard, it still comes out. Just gonna take longer.
Got it.
That's all. But I should figure out a way like that's the easier way of doing that, because that is the most annoying part. Because like you have to go in there to squeeze the cheesecloth with your hands themselves, and like your hands get all dirty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should teach you, and you can do it. Well, no. How about this? I'll keep doing almond milk. I'll keep doing kombucha if that turns out well. You start baking the bread, so we'll have like a separation of duties.
Yeah, that works.
And then we'll try to make as much of our own stuff as possible.
Yeah.
And then I wonder if we can make yogurt also.
Yeah, I think in the crock pot it should be easy enough, because from what I've heard is you take like a spoonful of a different yogurt as a starter, and then you put it in and let things just kind of ferment in the crock pot.
But like, what do you put in there? Just cream?
Yeah, I think either like a coconut milk or like some kind of, because I would have to do non-dairy because you and I don't do dairy.
Right.
But I think you take like a starter from a different yogurt. That way you get the bacteria from that culture, and then you put it in. Or I think with some recipes you can actually take like a probiotic capsule and stick it in there. But I don't know. That one seems a little more sketchy to me then.
Is it really just as easy as just like taking a scoop of a previous yogurt and putting it in the new yogurt?
And then letting it ferment, basically.
That's basic kombucha also.
Yeah.
Is that all fermentation then?
Pretty much.
Really?
Yeah. Same thing with sourdough, because you take a flour and you put bacteria in it, and then you just keep feeding it more and more flour as it gets bigger, and that's how you get sourdough bread.
So almost every fermentation process, you just take a little bit of the bacteria and yeast from the previous process and put it into the new one.
I think so.
Really?
It's very much like circle of life.
Well, that makes so much sense. I don't know why I didn't think of that before.
We learned so many new things today.
It's just... This is what like makes me feel dumb sometimes, where it's like someone explains something to me and I'm like, that makes so much sense. Why didn't I think of that? Like, how do you make yogurt? You take a piece of the previous yogurt, put it into the new substrate, whatever, the cream or something. It makes new yogurt. You're just like, how did I not figure this out? Why did I think it was hard to make yogurt? You know what I mean? It's just, it sounds so easy.
Yeah. Well, the sad thing is that we're so far removed with how our food is made that for something that should be like, oh yeah, duh, that's how it makes sense. Like, we're so far removed from it. It's like if someone asked me how to make cheese, I'd be like, I don't know. You know, whereas that's like a very basic food that I feel like used to be like everyone would know how to make cheese.
That's true. Good cheese, or I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know how much more we can make on our own, because I feel like it's going to become time consuming.
Yeah.
Kombucha's not time consuming. Almond milk's a little time consuming. Bread, I feel like won't be too time consuming
Once
you
I
get into
figure
a
it
good
out.
pattern.
Yeah.
Yogurt probably will be a little time consuming, depending.
Sure.
All this fermentation stuff is all just going to take time on its own. So it's like just waiting time.
Yeah. I should make bread tonight.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
We need to go Whole Foods though.
It's true.
We need to get some pasta.
Awesome. Oh, yeah.
Get healthy. Maybe we can make our own pasta dough.
That would be wild. That would be really wild. I'd have to see about that one. I feel like that takes so much like drying, because you have to like hang out the pasta to dry.
No, you don't.
Really?
Yeah, because the dried out pasta is explicitly made for shelves. So what you can just take flour, mix it with water, and I'm pretty sure you have to mix it with eggs.
Yeah.
And then you roll it out, you cut it into strips or whatever, and then you just cook it from there.
I didn't know
You
that.
don't have to dry it out.
Oh, I thought they had to dry.
No, drying out is just for store shelves so you can store it.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. You go from there. Like, I don't know how good the pasta will be to make it, you know what I mean? But like, it could be
Especially
decent.
gluten-free pasta.
Well, if you use chickpea, whatever.
Yeah, it's true. We use
Chickpea
Bonsa usually when we do
like
for
any
chickpea
flour.
Yeah.
This got so far away from sickness and health.
That's actually something that you had to adjust to, though, because I have celiac, And so when we first started dating, you had to kind of adjust to the fact that I'm gluten-free with everything that I eat, and learning about reading labels and like going to restaurants and making sure they have gluten-free options. And that was definitely a learning curve for you.
It is an adjustment that I have to now think about gluten-free options when I didn't have to before. And so now I just have to make sure to check out things like that. That's all. But it's not that bad. Because it's like it's your dietary restriction. So it's like it's your call on things. For me, I just need to make sure that there are options.
Yeah.
But I'm good. I can eat bread, so whatever.
Anytime we go to a restaurant, they're like, do you want gluten-free as well? He's like, no, give me gluten.
Yeah, nothing wrong with gluten for me.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know why people are all of a sudden against gluten in general.
Well, it's inflammatory. So if you have an autoimmune or something going on already, it can cause just more inflammation, which is going to cause more things to go wrong. And I don't think gluten is bad in itself. I think it's just that it's in everything that we eat. And I think it's like too much of a bad thing, just causing issues. And then the other thing too, and there was a documentary that I watched, I think the documentary was called Cooked, but they talked about how bread used to be made in the past versus how bread is made now. And basically they lose the fermentation process.
Yeah.
So they have this bread that they can make so much faster. And because of that, the gluten doesn't get fully absorbed. And that's the difference too, why a lot of people can go to Europe and be totally fine with the bread, even if they have gluten issues in the US, because they take time with making the bread and they include that fermentation process. So I think it's more in how it's processed than the gluten itself.
I read about autolyse or something like that. Autolyse.
I haven't heard of that.
Autolyse. So it is a new not a new technique. It is a technique that bread makers use instead of kneading the dough.
Huh.
And I think that's what you're using before, where like you don't need to knead it. You kind of mix it around anyways, but then you just let it sit for hours or days even, and let the process of fermentation happen, for the dough to rise on its own. I think people knead the dough nowadays in order to make the bread faster than it was before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so I think that like that's what probably we should be thinking about also.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anyways, we're worried about our health. We're worried about the food that we eat, but that's it. But that's easy enough.
Yeah.
We got off topic a lot.
All good.
Any last comments on sickness and in health?
I would just say, just to recap, whatever you can do to make it easier for your partner, just do it. And they're going to go through it. Just even if you don't know where to start with that, ask them, what can I do to help?
Yep.
Yeah. And then in health, don't nag at your partner for changes. Just inspire them to change and create some little invitations, but no pressure, and see what happens. Stay curious.
Yeah. And I feel like we may have to figure out a new seating arrangement for us.
Why?
This is a little weird.
Why is it weird?
It's just not comfy because I feel like I'm twisted the entire time.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. The corner didn't work, so we're going to have to figure it out.
We may have to try the corner again because I don't know. We'll
Really?
see. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
I'm Bethany.
I'm Chinggis. Thanks for tuning in. And then next time we'll stream Sunday,
Sunday.
11 a.m.
No, we're snowboarding.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Next Wednesday.
There we go.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in.